Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Data Dose. So in today's video, we will be understanding one of the most important SQL concept, that is about the database designing, that is when to use the star schema, what is star schema, what is Snowflake schema, what are the differences, in what scenarios we need to use the star schema and Snowflake schema, and what is the impact of speed, storage on both of these schemas. So let's start with the basic, that what is schema before diving into the main concept. So schemas are basically the structure that defines the database structure, and from the schema we will be knowing the relationship between the tables, and also a clean schema will help in analytics and reporting, clean analytics and reporting. So let's move on to what star schema. So in the star schema, there will be one central fact table, and there will be a multiple dimension tables attached to it. Multiple dimension table attached to it, and as you can see here, this is a denormalized structure. That is, these dimension table are not further split into multiple tables. Then it would be becoming the normalized structure. So in the star schema, the data is usually in the denormalized structure, and these dimension table connect directly to the fact table, and there is only one central fact table. And this type of schema is used is used in the analytic purpose, and this type of schema also helps in the fast querying in the database. So why it will be helping, and how this is used for the analytics and reporting purpose, we will all discuss more in the upcoming time. So let's understand what are the features of star schema. As you can see, this is easy to understand. There are fewer joins requires because there are less number of tables, and because there are less number of tables, so there is a fast performance, and these are excellent for Power BI tools, where from this data we will be publishing the dashboard and all. So this is all about star schema. Let's talk about advantages and disadvantages. As I said, advantages would be it helps us in the fast querying, and it is user friendly, and it is easy to understand the schema. But the problem here is, in this schema, star schema, there is a problem of data redundancy and data duplication. And because of the data redundancy and data duplication, there it causes the problem of more storage required. So these are the drawbacks. Because we are not denormalizing the data, so that is why we need to have the duplicated data in the tables. So that is why more storage is required in the case of star schema. So let's move on to the Snowflake schema. In the Snowflake schema, it resembles the snowflake. As the name suggests, it resembles the shape of a snowflake. There will be a central fact table, there will be a dimension tables attached to one central fact table, and then from here multiple sub dimension tables will be attached. Sub dimension table, that is, the data is being denormalized, which means the data is further more split into split into tables, so that it is Snowflake schema is called as highly denormalized data, and it is better organized. And because the data is highly normalized, so there is no chance of data being redundancy. So there is less redundancy in the Snowflake schema, which makes it very unique and important. So let's discuss about what are the features of Snowflake schema. As I said, it is highly normalized, it reduces the duplication, improves the integrity, complex structure. Yeah, as from the visual itself, we can see that it is a bit complex structure compared to the star schema. let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages. Advantages, I said you earlier that due to highly normalized data, there is less redundancy. And if I talk about disadvantages, because of highly normalized data, there are more tables associated. More tables means more joins while querying. More join means more time for execution, which leads to the slower queries. So so in the Snowflake schema, there is a problem of slower queries if we are using very complex queries. So because joining the table requires the time and effort. So there are complex join. We need to do complex join to arrive at the output. So if we compare the star and Snowflake schema, the star schema, as I said, it is a faster because it has less number of tables and the data is denormalized data. And in the Snowflake, it is organized. Star uses fewer joins and Snowflakes saves the storage. Okay, you might be having a question that the Snowflake uses more number of tables. One fact table is connected with dimension table, and that dimension table is connected with more further subdimension. And I have written here, Snowflake saves the storage. And we know that in the star schema, there are less number of tables. So even though the Snowflake schema has more number of tables, the storage required in the Snowflake schema is less compared to the star schema. So this we will go into more detail in further coming section. Okay. So this is just a visual representation of how the star schema looks and how the Snowflake schema. As I said, you can see star schema is very easy to understand because there is only one fact table and mm, and the dimension table directly attached to the fact table. And in the Snowflake schema, you can see that it is bit complex to understand as there are more number of tables. And now comes the question which is faster. As you know that star schema is faster, connection improves the speed, and Snowflake schema needs more join, and more join means slower queries, as we have discussed why it causes the slower queries. So now comes the question, which one should we use? So w- the the answer for this question, that which one should we use, lies what our requirements are. If we are using for the analytics purpose, we should use the star schema because we need faster querying. We need, because the user sitting on the dashboard cannot wait too long. If something is being applied filter or slicer, the user won't stay for longer time. If our dashboard is taking more time, even 1 second, 2 second, it is more time in case of analytics. So if we are using for analytics purpose, then obviously we should go for star schema. And dashboard purpose also we should go for star schema. And we should use Snowflake for enterprise system. And obviously we need to choose based on the requirements of that particular day. So in most of the cases, in Power BI, Tableau, we use star schema. In banking analytics also we use star schema because we need faster output. In healthcare systems we use Snowflakes. Enterprise warehouses we use Snowflake system. So to conclude this, star is nothing but simple but fast. Snowflake is organized and structured. If we need the speed, we should go with the star. And if we want more normalized, then we should go for Snowflake. So this brings this session to the last question which I said you earlier. Why with more tables, even after having the more tables, the Snowflake schema has the less storage, and whereas the star schema has more storage. It requires the more storage. So as I wrote here, in a star schema, dimension table contain repeated data. Yeah. In the star schema, dimension tables contain repeated data. As you can see, there is a data. We have a product ID, we have product name, we have category. Because the data is not normalized, so the data will be stored like this in the star schema. There will be product name as iPhone, that would be categorized into mobile. Obviously, if this data is 1 million rows or 2 million rows, if any other phone mobile related product is there, it will be capturing mobile. So instead of, so the mobile is being repeated around 20-30,000 times. If there are 10 lakh products of the mobile, 10 lakh time mobile will be repeated. In the same case laptop. So this repeated text consumes more storage. So in star schema, there will be fewer tables, more repeated values, hence more storage. So now we understand why star schema consumes more storage. Now let's move on to the Snowflake schema that is more normalized. In the Snowflake schema, the repeated data, for example, the product table, if we take the same example which we used for the star schema, in the product table, we have product ID, we have product name. In the now for the category, we have made another one separate table, that is we made it normalized, and we name it as category id. And for the category, a category id will be primary key for joining both these tables. And in the category table, if there are 10 categories, we would be, so the category table would be containing only 10 line items. And the laptop is stored only once here. Laptop is stored only once here. If this mobile is stored once, and the category id we will be taking and we will be having here. So by this way, in the Snowflake schema, the mobile is stored only once, the laptop stored only once. So what is the advantage of this? Obviously there would be less duplicated data, because in the star schema there is duplicacy. Like, we are repeating the mobile te- 10 lakh times if there are 10 lakh mobiles, but in case of Snowflake schema, it is only repeated one time. So if less duplicated data, less storage used. Okay, now the main difference is, as I said, what are the main difference? It is the same. Just let's talk about what is now we understand why the Snowflake, even if it is containing more table, consumes less storage. That is, in the Snowflake schema, the there is no duplicated data, or there is no redundant data, and storage is consumed by redundant and duplicated data. So that is one thing. So let's move on to the another one concept, that is what is normalization means, denormalization means. I know that you guys know what is normalization. So for a particular table, we break down that particular table into multiple related table, so that eh, which is in the case of Snowflake schema, and we will remove the redundant table, that is duplicate data. And in the same way, what is the denormalization means? We are combining the table to make only one single table. Obviously, by doing that, we will be increasing the redundancy, but at the same time, it is improving the speed for the faster querying. So final understanding, that is, even though Snowflake has more table, those table contain less repeated data, so total storage becomes smaller, whereas star schema has fewer tables but repeated values many time, increasing the storage. So that's all about today's video, where we discussed about star schema, Snowflake schema, when to use what, why Snowflake schema contains less storage even if it is containing more tables, and the difference between star and snowflake, and what is the normalization, what is denormalization, why do we do that. So so it was all about today's video, and thank you for watching. Please like and share, subscribe my channel. See you in the next video.